Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome to the Broku Highlights channel, and welcome to a brand new video series, which I don't even know what I'm going to call now. I'll call it Broku Responds for now, where I take a look at my comment section and give full-on responses to each comment. Now, this will be a mixture of people who completely disagreed with what I said in the video, or people who agreed, people who will also have added on more stuff, but I think most people will agree the more interesting stuff will be me responding to people who disagreed with me. I also will mention some unhinged comments. But yeah, please like, subscribe, turn notifications to the Broku Highlights channel, because I'm going to be doing this, probably once a week, if not more, because I post a video every week. This will be the video in tandem with Anti-Magic Was Never Overpowered, and these are all comments from that video.
Now, there's actually a lot of points I did want to add to this video, but I didn't have the time because there was like a date we needed to get the video out because of a sponsor. I could have easily added 4 to 5 more minutes of supporting points, but the main thing that I'm disappointed that I forgot to add in the video, because it's such a basic and simple point, but it's so damning because it's a literal statement in the series that proves the entire point of my video correct. That is, in the Seabed Temple arc, when Asta is fighting Veto, Vanessa is watching Asta fight, and she says she bet that the God of Fate didn't give Asta any magic because of precisely who he is. And the context of this scene is because he doesn't give up in his tenacity, and he works so hard. Now, the only thing we can take from that statement is that if Asta got magic, he would have worked so hard that he would have been literally unstoppable. Asta works so hard that the literal God of Fate of Black Clover had to make it so he didn't have magic power because he would have been too broken. Probably because Asta would have been so strong that he would have threatened the God of Fate itself.
The first comment is from Dark Skin Duffy. Anti-magic isn't overpowered. Here's examples. Shows examples of Asta not using anti-magic. LMAO. Now this is what I'm saying when it comes to unhinged, because this is an unhinged comment. When in the hell did I use examples of Asta not using anti-magic? My examples that I used that he's referring to were Asta losing to Heath, which he had his anti-magic sword, so he's literally using anti-magic. Asta losing to Ladros, which he had his swords in his hand, he has anti-magic. Asta getting bodied by Zagrid, he had anti-magic, he was even in his black form. Asta versus Dante, he was in his berserk form. And then I also even used Asta versus Yosuga, and he was in his union form. So this is completely unhinged. I don't know how you could watch the video and think I used examples of Asta not using anti-magic. So this really blew me away. I couldn't stop laughing when I first saw this. And then a comment from No Banaga 4720. Blood basically described every shonen MC. I'm so glad he said this, because this is like his defense of him, of like my whole point of Asta's anti-magic is not overpowered. He thinks that he's actually cooking here, but he's not, because he commented on my community post before I made the video saying, oh, anti-magic is so overpowered, how are you going to argue otherwise? This is only responses, oh, he's just like every other shonen MC. Exactly. That's my point. People are saying they dislike Black Clover, or they dislike Asta because he's overpowered, or that anti-magic's overpowered. But then this guy's saying, oh, he's just like every shonen MC. Well, if he's like every shonen MC, then you must hate every shonen MC. And if you don't, then your critique is bad, and it's wrong. You dislike Asta, or you dislike Black Clover for other reasons, but this is not the reason. So yeah, he basically just proved my point absolutely correct, which is hilarious. He thought he cooked, but he didn't. Next comment from Spade7195. He didn't train for with anti-magic. He had it for like a year, LMAO. And his anti-magic is the main reason why they beat 90% of the series. Yeah, this is just objectively wrong. Like, I literally show in the video and talk about how it's been years now. Asta got the anti-magic grimoire, trained for 6 months, was in the Magic Knight Brigades for 18 months, and then there was a 15-month time skip. So that is 2 years plus 15 months. That's 39 months. That's 3 months and 3 years since Asta's had anti-magic. Saying like a year when it's been over 3 years is actually crazy. Like, again, almost like an unhinged level comment here. Like, how can you watch the video and then comment this? Like, maybe they didn't watch the full video, or maybe they were under the influence. But as for a second point, the reason why they beat 90% of the series is anti-magic. That's actually not true, as I showed in the video. Most of the times it's really just Asta's so physically strong, he can use the sword and it helps him, but it's not because of anti-magic, it's because of Asta. Only later on in the series is it because of anti-magic, and it's usually still because of hard work with it and Asta getting help from other people, not just anti-magic. Alright, this is gonna be a long one, guys, but I told this guy I would respond to in full, so I'm gonna do it in this video. From the main fandom 1499. Alright, Broku, you're on. He's responding to me saying anti-magic's not overpowered. Since you don't believe we should be zombies that listen to everything every YouTuber says, I want a chance to think alongside you, if you'll listen, that is. Now, the first reason you stated, and the one you used quite a lot, was that you need to be physically strong enough to wield the swords. I completely disagree with this statement, as shown by Liebe and the Devil Binding Ritual. Someone with innate anti-magic can control and move the swords without even touching them. This actually removes the requirement that you need to be as strong as Asta to lift the swords, as if you can control them to the point of actually making them float/fly mid-air, then you can make them as light as you want or to swing them if you want to do it manually. So no, you don't actually have to run through tornadoes and train for 10 years to lift these swords, and if you use the swords like these, they also won't slow you down, by the way. Now, do I think Asta can swing the swords harder than a person doing that? Well, yes, he has literally used one hand to send a sword being used against him flying in the same ritual. But to be fair, he had time to train with Liebe, it was in a book. So there are some arguments to be made. Well, this is such a weird argument because that's not how anti-magic works when you first get it. Like, obviously, anti-magic changes, but if you get the 5-leaf clover grimoire, you're never getting the point of just lifting it telepathically if you're not physically strong enough to lift the swords. Do you know why? Because in any battle, you're just gonna have no power. And if you're not physically strong enough to lift the swords, you're not strong. So you're just gonna die whenever you get into a fight. So like, no, anti-magic's not overpowered. Like, this was just a really weird argument. Next, you have mentioned that you would have to face discrimination. This is only partially true. It's true if you're living in the Clover Kingdom, not much else. The reasoning is, as you said yourself, the Clover Kingdom is a society where magic means everything. It's the same as how being a devil host will get you executed in the Clover Kingdom, but being a devil host in Spade benefited you for a period of time. If Asta simply went to live in the other kingdoms after getting anti-magic, he would not have to deal with this discrimination. Again, this is a really weird argument because, for one, the Clover Kingdom's not the only kingdom that would discriminate based on magic power. For two, just because devil hosts were more prevalent in the Spade Kingdom doesn't mean that was allowed. I highly doubt that's allowed. It's not stated either way, it's just stated they do it more, but I don't think that is necessarily allowed. And this is such a weird argument, right? If Asta simply went to go live in other kingdoms after getting anti-magic, he would not have to deal with the discrimination. Like, yeah? Okay, let's go to the Diamond Kingdom. Oh, you're a former Clover Kingdom mage? Alright, join us or you're dead. Let's go to the Heart Kingdom. He's not getting into the Heart Kingdom. Like, the Heart Queen's barrier would stop him. And then maybe if he gets to the Spade Kingdom, maybe you have a point. But I still doubt it. Remember, they still look down on devil power. Like, remember, when the citizens were talking to Asta about the Dark Triad and they used devil power, it was not a good thing. Like, this is, again, like a really weird argument to say that Asta should have just left the Clover Kingdom when his whole goal is to change the Clover Kingdom. Like, really weird. Like, this is what I'm saying. Almost everybody who disagrees with the video, it's really nitpicky and just trying to be right instead of being correct. After this, you said, once Asta gets more swords in his black form, then he's overpowered. That's not what I said. I'm saying that's what people say, and I was disagreeing with it. But I agree with the statement in the sense that Asta gets stronger with each sword, but this brings me to one of the major problems with the argument. You try to prove that anti-magic is not overpowered because Asta is not overpowered. This is fundamentally wrong. So he basically just goes into, there's a difference between anti-magic being overpowered and Asta being overpowered. That's still not true. If anti-magic was overpowered, it would make it so that Asta was overpowered. Like, if anti-magic was overpowered, Asta would wield it and beat everybody. Sure, is there a technical difference? Yes. But then again, if we want to say, remember, obviously through the lens of my video, is that Asta gets the most broken power in the verse from chapter 1. That's the critique. So I'm seeing anti-magic as the power that he gets. He gets anti-magic, he gets an anti-magic sword, he gets a 5-leaf clover grimoire with a devil inside of it. If you want to get even more specific and say that, oh, well, if we want to only analyze anti-magic, we have to remove the swords, because the swords are just items. They're not actual part of the anti-magic. They're just items. They're magic items that he uses. So, again, really nitpicky argument when I very clearly clarify what I'm responding to in the video. That Asta is just overpowered from chapter 1 because it gets the most broken power in the verse. If you're going to strip it down to just anti-magic, you'd have to remove the swords and other aspects, which would be really, really pointless. He says this is fundamentally wrong. For example, using this logic, I could make the argument that light magic is weak because the King Clover is a user of light magic who has had his magic for years, couldn't even save himself with falling. See, this is where his argument falls apart. The king is a lazy prick, and he's fat, and doesn't train. That's why it doesn't really work. The analogy, this is a false analogy. You're saying that light magic is weak. I'm saying anti-magic is not overpowered. But remember, the reason why your argument falls apart is because we have seen other light magic users. We've only seen the anti-magic being used by Asta and Liebe. So your argument completely falls apart. And again, if Asta had light magic, he would be way stronger than Asta with anti-magic. So if you are saying anti-magic is overpowered, then by proxy you mean light magic is even more overpowered. That's my point, and that'll probably get brought up later. I can't remember. So then he also brings up the comedian character from JJK. It stated that his curse technique can actually counter Gojo's, but he just doesn't know how to use it. So like that, like, is the ability overpowered? But that's like not how you apply the ability. Remember, anti-magic, when you get anti-magic, you get a sword. You have to be strong enough to negate things, and that's still the case. If Asta right now has anti-magic, even in Devil Union, if he's not strong enough to negate the force still damages him. It doesn't matter. Versus the comedian from JJK, who literally warps reality. The arguments this guy is using just do not work. I'm really confused, because he says, I also don't blame him for not knowing how anti-magic works. He had anti-magic for less than a year. That makes no sense. It's been years now. But anyways, and using the fact that how long it did it take Asta to reach the level of Vice Captain using anti-magic, there are a few magic types which Asta could have used to get this strong. For instance, in the video say, let's say he gets a random ass 3-leaf clover grimoire. I tell you with 100% confidence that if Asta had no plot armor and he got that 3-leaf clover grimoire instead of his anti-magic grimoire on the same day, he would have gotten clapped by Longris. No, like, this is literally just factually not true. Like, look at Asta fighting Longris, and he's not using anti-magic to reinforce himself, and see how close he already is to Longris. Imagine if he just had magic reinforcement automatically. He'd be way, way faster. Just by having magic, he'd be way faster. Then imagine if by using reinforcement magic, he'd be way faster. Like, remember, Black Form Asta is like a 4 to 6 times multiplier off of his base, where he has no anti-magic energy amping him. Whereas Asta, if he had magic, even just by existing, the magic is making him many, many, many times stronger and faster. Then you have reinforcement magic, monoskin, monozone, spells. No. Like, if you respond and you want to do a debate on a fire magic Asta versus Longris, I'm down. But no, it's just literally not how it would work. Like, it just wouldn't be. And then he brings up that Longris would have just immediately, like, erased whatever Asta threw at him. That doesn't matter. Asta would just punch him. Is Longris going to turn himself into offensive spatial magic? No. So, just doesn't work. Like, most people thought it was pretty self-explanatory, but no, I guess some people didn't. Like, people don't understand that when Asta gets the anti-magic, the only thing that makes him stronger is that his hits are heavier because he has a sword, and he has some power nullification. But he's slower, and his physical stats are the same. I would like to address that one requirement to get the good with anti-magic is that you need to go through a devil binding ritual. While this was definitely true in Asta's case, you're overgeneralizing it. Bear with me for a second. The reason why I say this is because you really think about it, Asta didn't get anti-magic in chapter 1. He got an anti-magic sword. What's the difference? Well, again, like, I don't even know if I want to respond to this guy's comment, because I've literally clarified what my point of my video is. Anti-magic was never overpowered. Talking about Asta at different points of the series with different versions of anti-magic, and it's never been overpowered. Like, he's bringing up these very, very nitpicky points that go against the point of my video, because this is how the anti-magic power works. You don't get anti-magic and you don't get it fully developed. And even though, like, it's way more developed now, it's still not overpowered. He's still not even strongest right now. So, like, again, like, I could read his entire point, but I'm not going to, because, I mean, you guys can see it, but it just doesn't work. He's saying that Asta is not overpowered, but anti-magic is. But how? Give anti-magic to Yuno, and he's fodder. How is anti-magic overpowered? Like, I don't know. I also find it interesting how you think that Asta not being able to one-shot the King of Devils, who has likely been alive for more than 800 years, does not make anti-magic, but by this point, had only been training for around 2 years, overpowered. And this is where, like, your own argument falls apart, because you're talking about anti-magic itself. But now, remember, Devil Union isn't just anti-magic. Devil Union is Asta fusing with Liebe. That's not just anti-magic, that's literally fusion. So, again, if you're going by your logic, it doesn't work, because it's not just anti-magic. But anyways, it says Asta's only been training for 2 years, defeats 50% of an 800-year-old demon. This means anti-magic has the potential to reach 50% of an 800-year of experience. Please tell me a single magic type that can do this. Lucius and Yuno are both probably strong enough to pull off this feat, but not only do they both have 2 magic types, but they've also had their magic for their entire lives. Well, I would say yet again that Asta had only anti-magic for 2 to 3 years. Again, this is not a magic type that is doing this. This is Asta fusing with Liebe. That's fusion. This is not anti-magic doing it. Asta has to fuse with somebody else. That's what, like, Devil Union is. It's fusionism. You're fusing. So, this is not a point. This is beyond anti-magic. This is a human and a devil fusing. The devil has anti-magic, the human has high physical strength. But no, this is just not an argument. So, yeah, it doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter if it took him 2 years to fight the King of Devils. That's, like, again, a lot of it is based off how strong Asta is, not how strong anti-magic is. And also, it's fusionism. It's not just using anti-magic, it's fusing with a devil of anti-magic. It's not pure anti-magic, so it doesn't work as an argument. Assuming that you don't blatantly disagree, that would mean that he's proven that anti-magic can be used without insane physical strength, which is wrong. Like, no. Asta could not use the telekinesis part of it until after 2 years of training with it, so no, that's just objectively wrong. And then he's arguing that anti-magic hurts Asta, but there's no evidence that it hurts Liebe. Again, just because there's an absence of evidence doesn't mean that it's untrue. You don't have to always see it for every case. Is it possible it doesn't hurt Liebe? Yeah, but we don't know. And again, you're applying the anti-magic to the anti-magic devil. That's not how the power is applied in the series. In the series, you have to be strong enough to lift the sword, and then the power hurts you when you go into black form or higher level versions. You are applying Liebe's anti-magic and how he uses it, which again isn't overpowered if he lost to Asta in a devil binding ritual, but again, this is not how Asta uses it. Like, this is why when I respond to his comment, it felt really disingenuous for this to be your argument for why anti-magic is overpowered. Yeah, I think that he didn't do anything to counter almost any point of my video. He got to nitpick certain points and argue that the way Liebe uses anti-magic means that anti-magic is not overpowered. Because, well, for one, do you know what this would mean? It means your telekinetic powers would still need to be strong enough to lift the swords. It's not that hard. And I'm pretty sure I picked apart his response pretty well, because he had to be very nitpicky, completely change the context of the argument, because that's not how you get anti-magic powers, is how, like, again, he's arguing from Liebe when that's not how you get anti-magic powers. You get anti-magic powers, the Grimoire chooses you, and that's how you get anti-magic, so it's not overpowered, right? And this actually adds me to, like, another point of anti-magic being overpowered, is Liebe is nowhere close to being the strongest character in the verse. So if that guy's argument was, like, applying it to Liebe, what the fuck has Liebe done with anti-magic? Nothing. His, like, best feats by himself, or losing to a Asta with one arm and no anti-magic power, and barely holding off Lucifero's gravity against Asta at the end of the fight. Liebe has done nothing. So if your argument is that anti-magic is overpowered because of the way Liebe gets it, then what the fuck has Liebe done to make that power overpowered? You're removing all of the costs from Liebe and putting on Asta, but you're keeping the power for Liebe. What the fuck has he done? Nothing. The power is Asta and Liebe. So your argument completely falls apart on itself, and you're using the logic you're accusing me of using. So no, there is cost, and the power is still not even the peak. Darren Sopa 8809, bro, what if Asta started with time magic instead of anti-magic and trained the same amount of time or more? This Asta would easily stomp him, the fuck? Have we seen what he does to the time spells? They don't work on him. Same with dark magic. Let's not pretend Asta has trained more than Yami has his entire life, but we all still know he's stronger than Yami because of anti-magic, or are we pretending he's not? No, it's not pretending he's not. I said he literally is not. Like, there's the one statement that takes place during the Witch's Forest arc where it says Yami's physical strength's above Asta's. Now, there were Astas without anti-magic, like when he fights Liebe, when he moves to the Grand Magic Dungeon, when he lost his Grimoire, where he has feats that are greater than Yami, even when Yami has magic power. So Asta's physical strength has been trained to be greater than Yami's now, so your point is completely debunked. I think you did put up a good defense, it just still didn't work. No, if Asta had time magic, he would be far, far stronger than if he had anti-magic. Both in the beginning, well, especially in the beginning, but even at the end. Because remember, Asta's growth rate with magic is going to be way greater than with anti-magic, because nobody knew how to train anti-magic until Gaja, because he was an expert at training. And life energy, if it gets boosted, increases your magic power. So Asta's going to have basically double the rate of his growth if he has magic power. So no, if Asta got time magic, he would beat the shit out of current Asta, if given like the same circumstances. So if you want to debate that, you can join the Discord though. From Sajir Arafa, yes, magic lets you negate anything else in the series as an OP. I'm pretty sure this person just didn't watch the video because I explained why. Yeah, it can negate any magic, pretty much, but like, imagine how useful is it if you can cut the Kamehameha, but the force, the physical force that it dishes out, still just obliterates you. Yeah, that's overpowered, right? The most overpowered magic, time magic, can't do shit against a much lower level Asta with anti-magic. For one, I don't get the whole a much lower level of Asta. I don't know what that point is. This is like a very powerful Asta who's been training for years with anti-magic, has a devil arm, and knows how to use anti-magic pretty well now. As for it being useless or can't do anything against him, that's contradicted because Asta still feels the need to actually pull out his sword and slash through the time spells to protect himself. If these spells couldn't affect him, why wouldn't he just like blast right through them, right? So that's pretty much my, like, the detractors to the video so far. From Gray5751, overpowered and under/misused are not mutually exclusive. I haven't seen much of the show, and that mostly stems from the fact that Asta seems incompetent. Oh yeah, I remember this guy disagreed. So he's saying that because Asta's incompetent, that means that anti-magic can still be overpowered. Now, Asta's not incompetent, and I don't know. I really don't know how much I want to tackle from this because, like, he hasn't seen much of the show, so their opinion just doesn't hold much weight. Like, no offense, but if you haven't seen something, you really don't have any weight. Your opinion just doesn't have any weight. No offense, like, but it's just true. From Lungs30, he says Asta's overpowered now, but it's because he has mastered Zetten, which he is very powerful now. But again, he's also saying that it's true, like my video is true, so he's agreeing. But it's only because of Zetten, which remember, Zetten it's not anti-magic, it's life energy. So yeah, that's pretty true. From Alex Egbert 7274, I find it mind-boggling how people try to say that Asta isn't an underdog. The actual fruit in the Heart Kingdom is racist against Asta. Come on. You see, I laughed so hard when I first saw this. Like, I'd never thought about it like that, but it's actually hilarious. Yeah, he couldn't eat the fruits because you had to put your magic power in it to eat it. Or drink it, I believe, actually. So, that was really, really funny. That's a good comment. From God of Storm, I always stand on the fact that Asta's the only reason anti-magic is even remotely stronger or overpowered. Exactly. Like, that's literally true. Like, imagine what anti-magic would be in Yuno's hands. It'd be worth nothing. If any random person in the Clover Kingdom got it, it would be nothing. It would be worth nothing. You have to put in so much work and have to have very specific conditions to get anti-magic to get it strong, for it to get very strong. And it still hasn't never been the strongest. Never been the strongest ever. And final comment from MomoXB4LX. Black Clover fans always forget that Asta trained a lot to master anti-magic, and that not everyone could do what he did. Exactly. This isn't just Black Clover fans, but I think it's more so Black Clover haters. People don't like the series. They forget that he trained so much, and it really, like, is crazy how much, like, I actually see comments, not daily now, but multiple times a week, where they say Asta did not work that hard, or he didn't earn his ability, or whatever, completely forgetting. And, like, you even saw it. Like, who said that? It was one of the early comments. Spade71195. He didn't train for anti-magic. He had it for a year. No, like, how can you even argue that? Like, this is what I'm saying. A lot of people will talk shit on Black Clover and literally have no idea what they're talking about. But when it comes to the guy who left a long comment, what was his name? The main fandom, 1499. I'm pretty sure he likes Black Clover. He just is disagreeing to be, what's the word? Contrarian. I think he's just being a contrarian, which is fine. But yeah, like I said, his argument was because the costs are on Asta for anti-magic. For whatever reason, you're like, Liebe doesn't get the cost, even though the costs are on Asta. But then Liebe gets to keep all the power, even though he needs Asta for the power. You're literally removing and using the same logic they used against me, even though I didn't even use that because I specified my argument. But yeah, it's kind of funny. But how many of you guys want more of these Broku responds or responded comments? I'm thinking of, like I said, doing it once a week, where I respond to comments on every new video, and then I'll do, like, maybe every month I'll respond to old comments on old videos, because there's so many comments on my Asta versus Gojo video I'd love to react to. But yeah, please do leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hope you guys all have an amazing day. Peace out.